Let me start by telling you why I did this in the order I did it. Most people who move to the Philippines skip Manila entirely. They read the forums, they watch the videos, they see the words traffic and pollution and expensive, and they route themselves directly to Cebu or Dumaguete or Iloilo and treat Manila as the airport they pass through. I understand this instinct. I had it myself. But I also had a specific situation that made starting in Manila not just sensible, but necessary. I am 65 years old. I had a health history that my doctor in Cincinnati had flagged with the particular careful language of a physician who wants you to make good decisions. The short version, my cardiovascular situation required monitoring that benefited from access to top-tier specialist care, and Manila has hospitals that provide that care at a level that Cebu approaches but does not fully replicate, and that smaller cities do not offer at all. So I started in Manila, 6 months, with full intention to compare. Then I moved to Cebu for 6 months, also with full intention to compare. At the end of 12 months, I would make a permanent decision based on what I had actually experienced rather than what I had read about. This video is the complete comparison. Every category, every number, everything I loved, and everything I did not love about each city. And at the end, the decision I made and why. My name is Carolyn. I am 65 years old. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. My income is $2,280 a month, Social Security plus a small pension from 28 years in hospital administration. And I am about to give you the most honest side-by-side comparison of Manila and Cebu that I know how to produce. The first category, cost of living. Let me do the numbers city by city because the numbers are where most decisions live. Manila, 6 months. I lived in a neighborhood called Makati, specifically in a district called Poblacion, which was recommended by women in the forum as the area that offered the best combination of walkability, safety, and reasonable cost for a solo foreign woman. Not the most expensive part of Makati. The financial district apartments that cater to expats and business people run significantly higher. Poblacion has a more mixed character. Restaurants, small businesses, residential buildings, the particular energy of a neighborhood that is genuinely alive at most hours. My apartment, 1 bedroom, furnished, in a mid-rise building with a small gym that I used twice and a rooftop that I used many times. Monthly rent, 35,000 pesos. At the exchange rate when I arrived, $620. Electricity in Manila is the most expensive utility I have encountered in any Philippines discussion. The Meralco billing system in Metro Manila produces bills that regularly shock newly arrived expats who were told electricity was cheap. My monthly bill, with air conditioning used at night and fans during the day and some daytime AC on the worst months, ran between $95 and $145. I averaged $115. Water, $12. Internet, fiber, reliable in Makati in a way that is not universal across the Philippines, $32. Food, eating at local restaurants and the nearby market, approximately $180 a month. My medications at a Manila pharmacy, $24. Doctor visits, and this is where Manila produced its biggest advantage, which I will describe in detail shortly. $15 per consultation at a private clinic with specialist access that was genuinely excellent. Manila monthly total, approximately $1,050, $1,150 depending on the month. On $2,280 a month, this left a surplus of approximately $1,130 to $1,230. Real, meaningful, but notably less than what Cebu would later produce. Cebu, 6 months. I moved to a neighborhood in Cebu City called Lahug, which was recommended for its mix of residential character and practical infrastructure, close to good medical facilities, walkable for daily needs, with a genuine neighborhood feeling that Makati's more commercial character did not always provide. My apartment, one bedroom, also furnished, in a smaller building with a landlord named Mr. Tan, who lived on the ground floor and who managed maintenance with a responsiveness that made the slightly larger building in Makati feel bureaucratic by comparison. Monthly rent, 14,500 pesos. At current rates, $257. Electricity in Cebu, served by a different provider than Manila's Meralco, is meaningfully cheaper for comparable usage. My monthly bill in La Hague, with similar air conditioning habits to Manila, $52 to $68, averaging $58. Water, $8. Internet, also fiber, also reliable, $30. Food, similar eating habits to Manila, slightly lower prices at local restaurants, and the carbon market compared to Makati, $155. Medications, same drugs, same dosages, same generic manufacturers, $22. Doctor, $13 per consultation. Cebu monthly total, approximately $548, $600 depending on the month. On $2,280 a month, this left a surplus of approximately $1,680 to $1,732. The difference between those two surpluses is $550 a month. Over a year, that is $6,600. The cost of living difference between Manila and Cebu for the comparable lifestyle I was living in each was real and significant. Winner on cost, Cebu. Clearly and consistently. The second category, healthcare. This is the category where Manila produces its most compelling case and where I want to be detailed rather than quick, because healthcare is the decision variable that matters most for women my age with any medical history worth mentioning. Manila healthcare. The private hospital system in Metro Manila is, by the standards available in the Philippines, and by comparison with what I experienced in Cincinnati, genuinely excellent. I am specifically referring to hospitals like Makati Medical Center, St. Luke's Medical Center in BGC, and the Medical City in Pasig. These are internationally accredited facilities with specialist departments across virtually every field, equipment that matches international standards, and physicians who have trained in the United States, the United Kingdom, or Australia in significant numbers. I saw a cardiologist at Makati Medical Center in my second month. The experience? An appointment scheduled for the following day. A physician who had done her fellowship at Cleveland Clinic. She mentioned this. I did not ask, but she mentioned it because it was relevant to understanding her approach to my specific history. An ECG, an echocardiogram, and a comprehensive review of my history in a single appointment that lasted approximately 75 minutes. The total bill for all of this, $87. I want to sit in that number for a moment. The cardiologist visit, the ECG, and the echocardiogram at Makati Medical Center in Manila cost me $87. The last time I had a cardiologist visit with an ECG in Cincinnati, the bill, after insurance, after Medicare, was $340. For a woman with my health profile, Manila's healthcare was not just adequate, it was a genuine advantage. Cebu healthcare. Cebu City has good private hospitals. Chonghua Hospital and Cebu Doctors University Hospital are well-regarded facilities that handle the majority of medical situations competently and affordably. My routine care in Cebu, quarterly checkups, blood work, the ongoing management of my cardiovascular medications, was excellent and cost even less than Manila's already low prices. The honest limitation, for complex specialist care, Cebu approaches Manila's level but does not quite reach it. The interventional cardiology available in Manila's top hospitals is more immediately available and more comprehensively staffed than what Cebu currently offers. For my specific situation, this meant that during my 6 months in Cebu, I maintained a relationship with my cardiologist in Manila and made one trip back for a follow-up that I did not feel comfortable having handled locally. The trip cost me approximately $180 round trip, including the flight from Cebu and a night in a guest house. Compared to the $550 monthly savings in Cebu, this annual trip is a rounding error. But it is a reality that belongs in an honest comparison. Winner on healthcare. Manila for complex specialist care. Cebu for routine and moderate care, with Manila as the accessible backup. For women without significant medical histories, this distinction may be irrelevant. For women with my profile, it was a meaningful consideration. The third category, the daily life and community. This is the category that the numbers cannot capture and that I think matters more than any of them. Manila daily life. Makati is a city doing things. This is its defining quality, the density, the pace, the sense of active purpose in every direction. For a woman who came from hospital administration and who is accustomed to environments where a great deal is happening simultaneously, Makati has an energy that I found alternately exhilarating and exhausting, which is probably the accurate way to describe any large city's relationship with the person living in it. I could walk to restaurants, markets, pharmacies, a gym, a bookshop, coffee shops, and a small neighborhood park within 15 minutes of my apartment. The walkability within Poblacion was genuine. This is not universal in Manila, where many areas require vehicle transport for nearly everything, but Poblacion was deliberately chosen for walkability, and it delivered. The community question is where Manila became complicated for me. The expat community in Manila is large and established and somewhat scattered. There is not a single neighborhood where foreign retirees concentrate and create the organic community that I found in Cebu. There are groups and meetups and Facebook communities, all real and accessible, but the community required more active seeking than I had anticipated from the forum descriptions. My building in Makati had approximately 40 units. In 6 months, I came to know 3 neighbors by name. The building had the particular anonymity of a mid-sized urban residential building in a large city, which is not a criticism. It was simply the nature of the place. I was not invisible. I was also not known. Cebu daily life. The shift from Manila to Cebu was, in terms of daily texture, more significant than the financial numbers suggest. Lahug is a neighborhood rather than a district. The distinction sounds small and is not. A neighborhood has a butcher who knows your order, and a carinderia owner who knows your face, and a corner store where the woman behind the counter says, "Good morning," using the word you recognize as your name after enough mornings. Makati's Poblacion had some of this, but it required 6 months to begin accumulating it, and I was leaving before the accumulation had fully occurred. In Lahug, the accumulation happened faster, I think because the scale was smaller, and because the density of interaction in a neighborhood-sized geography is higher than in a district-sized one. My landlord, Mr. Tan, fixed things. Not eventually. Promptly. On day 9, the ceiling fan in my bedroom made a sound it should not have made. I mentioned it that morning. It was fixed that afternoon. In my Makati building, maintenance requests went through a portal and were addressed within 3 to 5 business days. Mr. Tan fixed the fan the afternoon I mentioned it. The Carbon Market, which is the main public market of Cebu City and the one I went to on Saturdays, is one of the places in my year that I will describe to people for the rest of my life as a place where something genuinely good happened to me. Not a single event, an accumulation. By month 3 in Cebu, I had vendors at the Carbon Market who knew what I bought and how I liked things. A fish vendor named Tessie, who set pieces aside. A vegetable vendor named Manang Cora, who showed me things she thought I would like without being asked. An older woman who sold nothing but fruit from a table near the far entrance, and who, by month 4, nodded when I came through because I was someone she recognized and whose recognition felt like a small, real thing. Winner on Daily Life and Community, Cebu. Significantly. The 4th category, safety. This is the question I am asked most often by women who are considering this comparison, and I want to answer it honestly rather than reassuringly. Manila safety. Manila's reputation for safety concerns is partially accurate and partially the product of a media picture that emphasizes the worst of a city of 23 million people. The specific neighborhood of Poblacion in Makati is genuinely safe in the sense that I walked it at various hours for 6 months without incident or even significant unease. The broader Metro Manila area is variable. Neighborhoods vary significantly, and the safety of Manila is largely a function of where specifically you are. What Manila has more of than Cebu: traffic that creates its own safety considerations for pedestrians, a larger population that produces more statistical exposure to the full range of human behavior, and a scale that makes it harder to develop the neighborhood-level knowledge that contributes to feeling genuinely safe rather than just statistically safe. What Manila also has more of: brightly lit commercial districts, 24-hour pharmacies, and convenience stores within walking distance, a more established expat infrastructure that includes communities of women who have been navigating the city safely for years. Cebu safety. Cebu City is generally considered safe for the type of life I was living: a residential neighborhood, daily walks to the market, evenings on the nearby walking street, a regular routine that made me a recognizable presence in my immediate area. I felt, in Lahug specifically, the specific safety that comes from being known, from being the woman who walked past at 7 in the morning and who the corner store recognized and who the carinderia owner knew by face. Visibility in a neighborhood is its own form of safety. No significant incidents in either city during my 12 months. This is anecdote, not data, and I want to be clear about that. But it is my anecdote, and it is true. Winner on safety. Essentially equal for women who choose their neighborhoods carefully. Advantage to Cebu for the neighborhood-level familiarity that contributes to feeling safe rather than just being safe. The 5th category, getting in and out. This one matters more than people think before they move, and less than they worry about after. Manila NAIA, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, is the primary international airport of the Philippines, and it processes flights to most major destinations in the United States with either direct service or one-stop routing through Asian hubs. If you need to fly home for a family emergency, Manila gives you the most options and sometimes the fastest routing. Manila is also where most long-term visa processing for the SRRV happens most efficiently, simply because the Philippine Retirement Authority's main offices are there, and because agents in Manila have the most current knowledge of requirements and timelines. Cebu. Mactan Cebu International Airport is a real international airport, newer than NAIA, cleaner, more manageable, with direct flights to several Asian hubs including Singapore, Hong Kong, and Seoul, from which American destinations are reachable. It is not Manila in terms of route volume, which means the last-minute flight home is slightly more expensive and slightly less flexible. The practical implication: if you need to fly home on 48 hours' notice, Manila gives you more options. Cebu gives you options, just fewer of them and sometimes at higher prices for last-minute booking. Winner: Manila on pure flight access. Cebu is acceptable, but Manila is better. The 6th category, what each city feels like to actually live in. I want to close the comparison with this because I think it is the most subjective and the most important, and because no amount of cost comparison captures it. What Manila felt like. Manila felt like a city that was doing things without me, not excluding me, including me, offering me its markets and its restaurants and its excellent hospitals and its international connectivity, but including me the way a large city includes anyone who has the resources to participate in it, as a participant in a transaction rather than a member of a community. I was well served in Manila. I was never quite at home in Manila. The distinction is significant, and I want to name it clearly because I think it is the thing that most videos about Manila retirement do not name. For 6 months, Manila was a city where I lived, and that I respected, and from which I received exactly what I paid for. What I paid for was the infrastructure of a major metropolitan area, excellent health care, good connectivity, genuine walkability in my chosen neighborhood, every service I needed within reasonable reach. What I did not receive, and what I did not know I was missing until Cebu showed me what having it felt like, was the sense that the place had noticed me. What Cebu felt like a city that was doing things and occasionally waiting for me to catch up to them. The carbon market waited for me every Saturday. Mr. Tan noticed when I hadn't been out. Tessie had the fish set aside. The woman at the corner store said something in Cebuano on my 53rd visit that I did not understand, but that sounded, from the tone and the gesture, like, "There you are," as though my presence was expected, as though the not being there would have been noted. I am using the word home deliberately and with the awareness that it is a significant word. But after 6 months in each city, I can tell you that Manila is a place I lived, and Cebu is a place that felt like it was becoming mine. The decision. I am in Cebu. I have been in Cebu for 8 months beyond the original 6-month trial. I am not leaving. The decision was not purely financial, though the $550 monthly difference was real and meaningful. The decision was not purely healthcare, though I maintain the Manila cardiologist relationship for my annual specialist visit, and the $180 round-trip flight is genuinely not a significant expense against $550 in monthly savings. The decision was about what I described in the last section, the feeling of a place, whether it was doing things without me or with me. Manila did many things. Cebu did them and occasionally looked over to see if I was following. I want to be fair to Manila, because I think Manila deserves fairness in a conversation where it is usually dismissed early. For the right woman, the woman who needs the highest tier of medical care regularly and immediately, the woman who needs international flight flexibility, the woman who finds energy in large urban density, the woman whose income is high enough that the cost difference is less significant than the infrastructure advantage. Manila is a real and serious option. It is not for everyone, and it is right for some people. For me, on $2,280 a month, with a health profile that needed specialist access, but not daily specialist care, wanting the community that a walkable neighborhood in a mid-sized city produces more naturally than a global megacity, Cebu was the answer. The carbon market on Saturday mornings, Tessie's fish, Mr. Tan and the ceiling fan. The neighborhood that has learned my face and occasionally says something in Cebuano that I do not fully understand, but that has the quality of recognition. Manila gave me excellent hospitals and more options on a bad day. Cebu gave me a home. On the days I am not having a bad day, which is most days, the home is what I needed. That is the difference.